Ahoj or hello. In this class, we will have a look at the Czech writing system on the alphabet. So let's have a look at it. When we are looking at the overview of this alphabet, it looks pretty much like the standard alphabet that you are probably very familiar with when you are learning some European languages or English. However, if you look at it closely, you see that a lot of the letters have these special things on the top. What are these? It's called diacritics, and it's making the letters either longer or softer, which we will discover very soon. So let's not waste time and let's have a look at the first group, which is vowels. Vowels, they, I believe, look very familiar to you. They are just normal vowels. However, what a lot of foreigners who are learning Czech do as a mistake is that because they probably learned English before, they are trying to read the Czech language as English, which is totally wrong. That doesn't work like that. Czech pronunciation is very different. So try to forget everything that you've learned how to read English and just open your mind to something totally different. First vowel is a, a, and in a word, ahoj, ahoj. Next one, e, e. In a word, pes, pes. Next one, i, i. In a word, it's kino, kino. Now, here we have y. Y is pronounced the same as the previous letter, e, e. However, it sounds a little bit heavier. When you are listening to Czech language, you cannot really distinguish if it's the first one or the second one, e, e. They sound the same. However, the difference comes to it's important when you are writing in Czech because you can probably have, you can, for example, have a word that is written the same. However, in one situation, there is the I, and in another situation, there's Y, and it can completely change the meaning of the word. So in the listening, not too much different. In writing, big difference. They sound the same. I'm gonna say again how they are next to each other. E, E. And in the word, we have it as kino and sin. Next one, o, o. In a word, obraz, obraz. Last one, u, u. In a word, pusa, pusa. So this is the vowels. A, e, I, o, u. Okay? If that's clear, let's move on to the second group, long vowels. This is the same what we have just seen. However, they have these special things on the top. Usually it's a line, and the line is expressing that the vowel is long. When we have a look at the first one, a, example, káva, káva. You can clearly see the difference in the length. Káva. Ka is long, va is short. Káva. And that's basically it. Next one, long e. Léto. Léto. Long i. Plavání. In this word, we have two long vowels. Plavání. Next one, long i. In a word, sír. Sír. Next one, long o. Balón. Balón. Last two might surprise you. Why there is U with two different diacritics. One is line, one is circle. Don't worry, they both sound the same. For some reason, they have these two types of the diacritics. They both sound like long U. However, in the one with the line is appearing when the long u is in the beginning of the word, as here we have verb učet, učet. And the other one is when the long u is in the middle or at the end of words. So here it's doom, doom. So don't worry. And last one, what we have in the right top corner is e with not a line, however, with V sound or hook. In Czech, we call it háček. What is this hook doing? It's making the vowels or consonants, as we will see later, softer. Now, how can you make a letter softer, right? In this case, this e with the hook sounds like yeah, yeah. I always tell my students that you can kind of imagine when you have a word Vietnam, like the country, this sound, yeah, yeah, is kind of like the sound what we're looking for. So as an example in the word, miesto, miesto. Yeah? So let's read all of the long vowels, long and one soft vowel. Aha. I, o, u, yeah. All right. Let's move on to the consonants. Consonants, aka souhlásky, look pretty standard, however, some of them might surprise you how they are pronounced. Starting with B, B, in a word, balloon. Next one is F or F, in a word, fialka. L, louka. M, máma. P, pes. S, strom. V, televize. V, zuby. Now, these two have the red star and arrows next to them. What do they mean? These two letters are a little challenging to the foreign speakers who are trying to learn Czech because they sound a little bit similar, but there is difference between them. The first one, h, is very deep in your lungs. It's very heavy sound. H, h. In a word, it's husa, husa. But the next one, ch, careful, don't read it as ch. It's not ch. It sounds as h, h. In a word, chalupa. Now listen the difference. H, 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 h. Husa, chalupa. Okay, next one. K, koleno. R, svetr. The Czech R is very strong and vibrating. Many people recognize Slavic accent when people speak in English, and the R is very strong. You can almost immediately identify where the person comes from because our R is very vibrating on your tongue. Svetr. Next one. G, guma. D, dárek. T, tramvaj. N, nohy. Next one also has a red star, and it is t. T. Be careful, don't think about it as this English C. It's not, because in English, then in word it's pronounced, for example, as K. In a word, country, cup, cube, and so on and so on. No, in Czech, it's more like combination of P and S. So it's C. In a word, we have it as citron, citron. And last one, Y. Careful again, it's not J. No, it's Y. In a word, jahoda. So all of them together. B, F, L, M, P, S, V, Z, H, H, K, R, G, D, T, N, C, Y. Last part of the alphabet, which I think is the hardest one, is soft consonants, měkké souhlásky. It is essentially the consonant what we have just seen. However, they have the diacritics on top, the small V sign or the hook, háček as we call it. So what does it make? How it's made? How it sounds? You take the initial consonant and you have to move your tongue to the top of your mouth and kind of use your tongue to make it softer. Let's have a look at the first one. We're starting with Z. Z. And we have to make it into J. J. You a little bit twirl your tongue. You made kind of like small valley inside of your mouth from your tongue. And you make it soft. J. J. Let's try the next one. You are starting with S and you turn it into sh. Sh. Je, sh. Next one. T. You turn it into ch. Ch. So now we have je, sh, ch. Now the famous letter R. It's very hard, but if you are struggling with it, just do your best and don't worry about the rest. Czech speakers will understand you, they will eventually guess what you're trying to say. We know it's hard. We as well have a problem learning this letter. Many kids go to like logopedist, I think it's called, like speaking specialist, because many kids have problem pronouncing this word, this letter. So don't worry about it. Just try your best. I always say that you kind of have to combine R, which is very vibrating, together with J. Weird combination, right? Let's try it. Just try to say them separately and eventually mash them together. R, J, R, J, 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 J. Okay, moving on. D turning into Y. T turning into T. N turning into Ñ. Now listen all of them. J, sh, ch, j, d, t, Ñ. Let's see how they sound in the words. First one, žába, kaše, koláč, moře, loď, poušť, hůň. Here you have words and try to read for yourself. How would you pronounce them? Pause the video, just try to out loud pronounce them, and then play the video back and see if you guessed it correctly. So how was it? Was it hard? Was it easy? Let me pronounce them for you and let's guess and let's see how you did. Žena, nádraží, kostel, počítač, oběd, dřevo, laťka, sušenka, noc, květináč, batoh. Okay, guys, that was it for today. I'm so proud of you that you've come this far. I'm sure it was not easy, but let's keep going. Let's see each other at the next video. Now you know how to read the alphabet. Bye-bye. Ahoj.